Welcome back for some more record predictions. Today we're in the AFC West, and let's get right into it. All right, first team. Pretty obvious, no offense to them. I want them to succeed. They got a lot of free agents, but it has to be the Raiders. Kirk Cousins is probably likely to be named the starter. Obviously, they drafted Fernando, so that'll be a nice addition. I think he's going to be a good quarterback years to come. The receiving corps, unfortunately, underwhelming. Trey Tucker, they signed Jalen Naylor. Jack Beck is a second-round pick last year. Bowers is pretty much the only option outside of Genty. New head coach in Clint Kubiak, and then the defense is also awesome. So, not to mention they did pick up Tyler Linderbaum in free agency. He'll be able to direct the offensive line. And then the defense, they were going to trade Max Crosby. There was their whole debate between, apparently he failed his physical going to Baltimore. He stays in the LA or Vegas, and now you have a solid defense. You signed Kobe Dean. You bring in Quay Walker, Kwity Paye. They still got Jeremy Chin. I believe they traded for Taron Johnson. So interested to see how the Raiders bounce back. I don't want to be too underappreciative of what this team can do, but let's jump into the record. So unfortunately, it's 4-13. This is a team going to continue to climb the ladder, right? This is a tough division, though. You got the Chiefs, you got the Chargers, you got the Broncos twice. I do think they can be better than 4-13. Dolphins week 1. You could easily split with the Chargers. You could easily split with the Chiefs or the Broncos. Chiefs have kind of owned the Raiders over the past decade. Again, no offense to the Raiders. It's just kind of how it went after Derek Carr and just trying to find a franchise quarterback for this team. So in looking at where do they win games, this is a tough first half of the year. Dolphins, then Chargers, Saints, Chiefs, Patriots, Bills, Rams. Realistically, the only possible wins they could have are Chargers or Saints. Patriots on the road, Saints on the road, Chargers on the road. I mean, it's tough. Jets, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Niners, tough game. Seahawks, I kind of gave a Clint Kubiak revenge game, right? He goes, he's not actually going back to Seattle, but they're in Vegas. Maybe Seattle, they catch one on the chin. Genty just runs for like 200 yards. I don't know. I could see something like that happening. Broncos, Browns, they could win. It's on the road. That's going to be a weird game. Maybe 5 wins. I think 5-6 is a decent area to start with, but you also have to remember how many games is Kirk Cousins going to play. It's likely going to be a short amount of time before he's in as Mendoza's in as the starting quarterback. How much offense can this team generate with only Bowers and Genty as your only real receiving threats? Yes, you have Naylor. Yes, you have some guys, but I just question those abilities. So this team is going to be good for years to come. Want to give them more, but I just don't see a way to give them more wins. So now to the fun teams. Not that the Raiders aren't fun, but in terms of the competitiveness of this division, Chargers, Chiefs, Broncos are kind of the top 3 consensus, right? And looking at the Chargers, they revamped the offensive line. I don't know if they're going to bring back Keenan Allen. That's definitely an interesting subject. As far as the depth chart, they did give Keaton Mitchell a pretty, I don't want to say hefty contract, but for a backup running back, they gave him about $6 million a year. So don't want to say I'm concerned, but he could play a third down back role. And I say concerned because for fantasy, I'm kind of wondering, is Omarion Hampton going to be a viable option? Is he going to get the receiving targets? Because obviously Mike McDaniel, Devon Achane got a lot of targets in the Dolphins offense, so maybe Hampton could be a 3-down workhorse back. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting topic for the season. But offensive line improved. I mean, not that it wasn't last year, but it was just a little bit, not healthy with Alt and a couple other guys. So defensively, I am very worried about this team. Offensively, don't have any problems. Yes, they're learning a new system. Herbert will have to will this team to victory. And with it being a run-first offense, I don't know how well he's going to be able to do that. So defensively, you lose Jesse Minter, arguably one of the better defensive coordinators, and you bring in Chris O'Leary from Western Michigan, and he did a good job. He was with Jim Harbaugh before, not as a coordinator, but as I believe a defensive line coach. He was a little bit below. So he calls plays at Western Michigan, did a great job. And again, with the talent that he's got here, how many NFL defenses can they stop? Again, Jesse Minter proved to do a great job last year. It was like a top 7 defense. I was very surprised. But on paper, this is not like a crazy over the top defense. This looks like maybe 18th defense in the league, in my eyes. The really big names you got, Derwin James, Khalil Mack still, he's getting older. You know, I don't know how to say his name, but I know he's pretty good. Tuilopu, I can't really say it. But that's my worry for this team is how good can they be offensively? Sure, they can generate some good drives, they could score some good points, but how many good offenses are they going to stop? It is my biggest question. So let's take a look at the schedule. I hate to say it, but 8-9 is what I have for this team. This is a really tough schedule. It really isn't a matter of the defense isn't great. I mean, that plays into a factor, but Chargers fans, just be honest with me and look at this schedule and tell me how many wins you see for this team, realistically, because outside of week 1 and 2, it is a slugfest getting through this schedule. You get the Bills, Seahawks, Broncos, Chiefs before a bye. I'm sorry. 1 and 3 seems realistic. Whether they beat the Seahawks, beat the Broncos. Broncos is the only game at home. I gave them the win. All those are tough games. After the bye, you play the Rams not Super Bowl, but Super Bowl contenders. Matthew Stafford MVP, Rams, the Texans defense, Ravens on Monday Night Football on the road, by the way. Jets, sure, I'll give them a win. Patriots, even that's a difficult game. Buccaneers is not a cakewalk. I think at Tampa Bay, they could have some trouble. Maybe that's a win, and I'm crazy, and it's 9-8. Yes, I gave them a loss to Miami. You can argue that's not gonna happen, sure, but I don't know. I felt the need to give him a loss to Miami because of running quarterback and Malik Willis, and can they stop the run? Maybe Devon Achane goes for like 200 yards. Obviously, this is the NFL. Anything could happen. Could I give him a win against Miami? Yeah. I just wanted to give Miami at least 2 wins, and this was the only plausible game that I saw. So 8-9. I mean, you can maybe argue they are 10-7 if they beat the Bucs and the Dolphins, but I mean, I would argue the Patriots is a tough game. So on and even the Niners Thursday night, I forgot I gave them that game. That's really tough as well. So even if you beat the Bucs, maybe you lose to the Niners. Like, there's going to be some games where you fill in the gaps. And like I said, I've went over the schedule about 115 different times. This is a very difficult prediction to make, but the Chargers barely snuck into the playoffs last year at seed number 7. Chiefs are going to be back, wanting revenge. Patrick Mahomes coming off the ACL. I don't think the Chiefs finish higher than 3rd, unfortunately, in the AFC West. Moving to the 2nd place spot, the Denver Broncos. This is still honestly one of the best teams on paper. Sean Payton did give up play calling. A little bit nervous about that, but you're bringing Jalen Waddle. This offense is really good. Dobbins and Harvey, Sutton, Waddle, Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims. Pat Bryant was also pretty good as a rookie last year. Evan Ingram. The offensive line, solid. It's nothing crazy. But defensively is where this team thrives, especially in the pass rush, right? I'm just Nick Bonito in general. I mean, he was an absolute monster last year. Zach Allen. So a lot of great things from this defense. And then the secondary was good as well. I mean, Pat Surtain, Hufanga, they bring in. So last year they brought Hufanga. I like this team. I like it a lot. And I just don't see how the Chargers out. I know the Chargers have a very good record against Bo Nix. They're like, I think the Broncos are like, I think the Bo Nix is like 0-3 against Chargers. Sure. Even if they split with the Broncos, okay. I don't see what your point is. I had them split. So anyway, let's look at the record. 11-6 for the Broncos. And again, I have them splitting their division pretty down the middle. They're 4-2 in the division, split with the Chiefs and the Chargers, and you sweep the Raiders. First half of the year is going to be tough for the Broncos. You get the Jaguars, you get the Rams, Niners, Chargers, Seahawks in the first 6 weeks. Those are going to be some tough games. So you get the Chiefs twice in 8 weeks. Panthers lost before the bye. I just gave them a really tough first half of the year. Obviously, they can beat the Panthers, but it's on the road. It was just an odd game, and this is where they're going to thrive. Back half of the year, something's going to switch. Also, they're playing a lot of garbage, no offense, bad teams. Raiders twice. Steelers Black Friday, only really crazy loss that I could see other than Bills or Patriots. Dolphins, Jets, Raiders, like that's their schedule after the bye. Raiders, Steelers, Dolphins, Jets, Raiders again. That's 5 wins potentially sitting on the table right there. Bills could get their revenge. Obviously, I kind of gave them a loss against the Steelers just because it was an interesting game. They can easily win that game, lose to the Bills, whatever you want to do. Flip-flop it around, sure. Patriots on the road. That's definitely a tough game late in the year, weather-wise. And then the Chargers to close it out. I really do think this is a good team this year. Potentially could win the division, but we'll get to number 1, obviously being the Chiefs. I know Kansas City seems crazy to be at number 1 in the division, but everyone's like, Mahomes coming off the ACL tear. They have planned this to a T. Bringing in Kenneth Walker, okay. The offensive line, nothing special, very middle of the pack, but that's all you really need in the NFL is okay. Nothing crazy great, nothing crazy horrible. Great would be good, but again, as long as it's not bottom 5, bottom 10, you're fine. I think so. These are all competent starters. Kenneth Walker, this is the first running back they really have gotten since Jamal Charles. I mean, seriously, they really haven't had a crazy big game changer to be able to open up the playbook. So Bieniemy is also back in this offense. So, this is a Super Bowl team once again. You can argue, Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, those aren't really crazy good weapons. I don't care if I'm playing receiver for the Chiefs. Mahomes is going to make it work. So there you go. Jalen Royals is also a decent pickup. So just looking at this team, I don't even care. I mean, the defense is always going to be the defense under Spagnuolo. I just don't see any reasons to why you can tell me the Chiefs aren't going to be top 2 in the division. I think the Broncos or Chiefs, it's definitely going to be close between those two. But for me, this is a team that's going to be run first, Kenneth Walker, take pressure off Mahomes, open up the playbook, play action. Kelsey's going to be a big factor. Play action is going to work really well in this offense, and I'm really hoping that Bieniemy is going to see that. I'm sure Reed is going to implement it into the playbook, but Bieniemy is going to be play calling to a T. I mean, that's just how it's going to go. But there are your standings for the AFC West. 12-5 for the Chiefs, 11-6 for the Broncos. Going to be really close between those two. And then you get the Chargers just outside the playoff. Even if they're 9-8, 10-7. 10-7 is the brink, I think, for the 7th seed. 9-8 is not going to get it done. Raiders down there at the bottom at 4-13. Let me know your thoughts. AFC West, I think it's definitely, I wouldn't say easier to predict, but definitely going to be an exciting division to watch. And we just did the AFC North, so go ahead and check that out. You can see the Browns record right there. And then the South, we're going to get to next. So thank you, everyone, for hanging out, listening. Go ahead and check out the South next, but we'll see you in the next one.